First, you mentioned like coaches being like the stats of how hard it is. It's like I wish that people would reframe it and be like, hey, if you're willing to like put in the work and work hard, no matter if you're 6'1" playing basketball, it doesn't mean that you can't get there. I wish coaches would be like, if this is what you want to do, like let's get the work done and see how far we can get.
Welcome to Athlete Country Club, the podcast built for parents, athletes, and competitors chasing the next level. I'm your host, Marcus McMarion, former Division I quarterback, now founder of Athlete Country Club. I started this show because, like many of you, I had to learn the recruiting process the hard way, traveling up and down the state, spending thousands trying to figure out what actually works. Each week, we break it down through two powerful segments. First, Coach Talk. This is where we sit down with college coaches, director of player personnel, recruiters to uncover exactly what they look for when offering scholarships. No fluff, just the truth from people making the decisions. Second, Athlete CEO. Here we go beyond the field, into habits, training, and mindset that build elite performance and long-term success. You'll hear from strength coaches, nutritionists, sports psychologists, and former athletes who've turned their grind into greatness in business, leadership, and life. Because being an athlete isn't just about playing the game, it's about mastering it and building your legacy beyond it. So whether you're a parent trying to navigate recruiting or an athlete ready to level up, you're in the right place. Welcome to Athlete Country Club, where we turn potential into performance and performance into purpose. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Athlete Country Club, the show built to bring knowledge from the people who have it to the young athletes who need it, because the best mistakes to learn from are other people's. And today, we have someone who embodies that mission in every way, an Olympic silver medalist who grew up in Clovis, California. At Clovis High, she became a valley champion and a state champion in the 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, and triple jump. At the University of Oregon, she won multiple track and field national championships. She has earned gold and silver medals in world championships, and she is now a two-time Olympian, competing in both Brazil and Tokyo Summer Olympic Games. Only a fraction of athletes ever reach the Olympics, and even a smaller group ever stand on the podium. She's a part of that rare air. I want to introduce her the way she introduced herself to thousands of kids in her new book, Clovis on Tour. Meet your featured tour guide from Clovis on Tour, Jenna Prandini. Welcome to Athlete Country Club.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped about it. And yeah, before we even, kind of jump into that, like one of my favorite parts of your book is just the section of like Jenna's tips for kids. And honestly, these tips are kind of for everyone. Athletes, parents, coaches, everyone in between. But I know the first one, it was just be curious. 2 was never give up. 3 was be brave. And then 4 was believe in yourself. Like why these 4? And like, why do they represent you and your journey?
I think because I think it's just important for kids when they're young to be curious. Like, you never know, like, where your talent will take you. You never know, like, at a young age, like, you don't even know what you like at the time. Like, when I was younger, I'm like, whatever season it was, I'm like, oh, I want to be a basketball player. Oh, I want to be a soccer player. Like, I was just curious to try anything. And I think, when you said be brave, too, it's like, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to start something new that you don't even know anything about. And so it's just like, I want kids to try stuff. And for me, the reason that I made it this far is like, I was brave, I was curious, and I just like, push the boundaries. So I think it's important for kids to like just grow up and just see where life can take them.
Yeah, and you guys, for those of you guys that don't have it, I got my book on Amazon, so you guys could go grab it on Amazon. Make sure you guys buy it. I'm gonna take it, and I just want to kind of like stay on the book for a moment. Just because I genuinely love the purpose behind it, and kind of love that you chose to open your story to the next generation. And like, what inspired you to write Clovis on Tour, and what was the heart behind creating a children's book?
So I got approached by at the time, she was the mayor of Clovis, and she had like the idea of like, hey, I want to make a Clovis, like a children's book. And for me, it was just kind of like a little bit out of my comfort zone, because I'm like, well, I don't know anything about like books really. Like, I know about sports in like my journey, but it was kind of a cool opportunity, because I'm like, well, I love kids. Obviously, I want to inspire the youth, and I love Clovis. And so when we were like brainstorming, I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but like I want to make sure that this book is like cool and not lame for kids, because like I want to create something special. And then like the coolest thing for me is like all proceeds from the book is going towards my foundation, and it's going right back to the kids in Clovis. So everything is just going to be used to like try to start stuff for kids and get involved and join sports or just extracurricular activities, and just kind of provide support that I had when I was younger and make sure that the kids now currently have that support to get them to where they want to be in the future.
Kind of mentioned, I mean, your Prandini Dream Big project and kind of your foundation that you have going on. Like, what exactly, I mean, with people purchasing the book and building that kind of fund up, I mean, what exactly are you looking to kind of implement some of those things into to kind of help the young athletes with?
I mean, like, anything that I can do on my part to, like, help support athletes, or even if it's just a kid that wants to join, like, the band or choir, like, I think all that stuff, just following your passion is, like, so important to me. And, you know, something as simple as, like, giving a kid a pair of new basketball shoes or, you know, paying for their club baseball, like, whatever it is, like, I think it's important to, like, support the kids because, you know, there's a lot of opportunity out there, and I want kids to be encouraged to go chase their dreams and not be like, okay, well, like, I might want to do it, but I don't know where to start. So, I mean, my goal is just to raise money for the foundation, and then, you know, the more money we raise, the more we can do, obviously, with that and for the kids in the community.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, no, in the book you talk about being a kid at Mickey Cox Elementary School. Shout out to your old elementary school. And drawing yourself on the Olympic podium. Yeah, and long before, I mean, anyone else kind of believed in it, you're kind of drawing yourself on the podium, pictures of yourself, and I think that's powerful because I think, like, I remember saying as a kid, like, I want to play Division I football, I want to play in the NFL, and adults probably around me looked at me and was like, oh yeah, sure, kid, like, you could be the president too, you know, and like, you could do whatever your heart wants. And I think somewhere along the journey, I'm not sure exactly where, but that fire kind of gets put out in most people. But I mean, for people like you, that fire kind of never dies. Obviously hindsight's 2020. But do you feel like a little delusional belief was necessary to accomplish what you did? And like, how did you keep your fire burning when most kids lose theirs?
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, yeah, when I look back and you say it, like, I mean, everyone wants to be a professional. You know, like, it does feel like a little delusional. I have to credit my parents a lot and, like, my older brother and sister because, you know, like, whenever I would say, like, I want to do this, they never told me that I couldn't do it. And so, you know, I feel like as a kid, you're so much influenced by the people that you're around. So, like, my family and my coaches and stuff. And they never, like, put me down and said, like, Jenna, that's a crazy dream. Like, don't do that. And so I feel like by having that support and, like, the foundation of, like, hey, yeah, like, if that's what you want to do, like, let's try to get you there. Like, if you're willing to work hard and put in the work, which that was my dream. So, like, for me, it was fun to go to practice and work really hard. And then I had the people behind me, like, saying, hey, if this is what you want to do, my coaches were all for it. You know, let's just see where we can go. Obviously, at the time, it was like, when I'm at Mickey Cox, I'm just trying to go win against the kids that I'm racing against, or as I go through, like, Clovis High. It's just, like, every level I get to, it's just, like, how can I be good at this level? And it wasn't just, like, I'm training for the Olympics. It's, like, I'm training for, like, little things step by step. And that's kind of how I got to where I'm at today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And kind of like, I mean, those drawings you made, I mean, like, that was, I mean, it was visualization before you even had a name for it or even kind of knew that term. It was just a kid drawing what they wanted to do. But can you talk about, I mean, especially in track, I mean, just talk about, I mean, self-talk, visualization, goal setting, and like, how did those tools show up in your career?
Yeah, so I remember in elementary school, it's always a thing, like, your teacher's like, oh, just draw what you want to be when you grow up. And, yeah, every time they said it would be like, I'm wearing, like, the Olympic rings or, like, I'm on the podium. And to be honest, it probably depended on, like, the time of year it was at. I didn't always want to be a track athlete. My favorite sport was, like, soccer, so I wanted to be a soccer player. And then it was like, oh, I want to go be a volleyball player. So it kind of just depended on the season. But I did know that I wanted to be an Olympian. And then it was just kind of like, I put it down, and it was just, like, something that I wanted to be. And then my parents did a good job because they're like, hey, if this is what you want to do, we're going to find you, like, role models that you can look up to and see that it's possible. So I had pictures of, like, the North Carolina soccer team in my bedroom, like posters. I had a basketball poster, I had a track girl poster. Like I had posters of like all these different female athletes because my parents were like, hey, if this is what you want to do, it's possible. And so I think like writing all that stuff down, like that was my dream. And then they let me see that, hey, if this is what you want to do, like it's like, and it could be your future. And now like that's my whole goal now is like I want to be a positive role model for the girls in Clovis or wherever they are to be like, hey, like this is my journey, and like I followed my dreams and chased them, and look where it got me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's such an important thing in what you're doing as far as just you being around people. Because I know for me specifically too, growing up in Dinuba, I mean, you don't see Division I athletes all the time, and you're not around Olympians, and you're like just the impact that you're having just being around, because it's like, wow, I've actually talked to an Olympian, someone who's done it, been there, to where I think it's really important that I think we only dream to the level of our exposure, to where you're exposing athletes to what it's like, hey, I'm an Olympian. Now they're like, hey, that's attainable. I've actually talked to someone in real life that's made it to that. So I think it's just extremely important what you're doing and kind of just passing that legacy and creating your own legacy, honestly. And like, what was life like kind of growing up in Clovis, and what kind of environment like shaped you? I know you kind of credited your parents and having those coaches, and kind of what was the village that kind of created the Jenna Prandini we see today?
Well, I'm the youngest in my family. I have an older brother and I have an older sister. So I kind of grew up chasing them around. My brother's 3.5 years older and my sister's 12 years older. So it's a big gap. So I think like when I was growing up, like my mom was the track coach at Mickey Cox. And then I would just be at like practices, and my brother would think it's funny, like, hey, like, go race my little sister. And we'd line up on the street, in the block, and we'd just be doing like different sports. Cause he's like, in his head, he's like, I know she's going to beat them. And I'm just thinking like, oh, my brother's being nice. Like he's including me. So like, I'm just chasing the neighborhood kids around. And then my sister, she ran track, she played volleyball. So I, grew up going to those games and watching her do her thing. And I think it was just like, I always just watched sports. And I kind of just fell in love with sports in general, the competition and all of that stuff. And it was just a very supportive, I never did like club track or travel track. It was just kind of like I took it season by season. I did play travel volleyball all through high school. And I think for me, it was just like, I was just a really well-rounded athlete. And that's something that I love that my parents did, was like, they made me try everything and see what I like. And they never pushed me to be like, hey, you have to do this, or like, hey, like you have to go train like an Olympic athlete in your freshman year of high school. It's just like, hey, like, let's take it step by step. And like, if this is what you love to do, like, we're going to support you in it. And if I was ever like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, of course they want me to finish out what I was doing in the moment. But like, they're never going to force me, like, you have to go do this. So I think that's what kind of fueled my fire, is like, it was always led by my desire and not something that they were forcing me to do.
And I think that's such a huge role too, as well, to where like, it's funny you talk about seasons. Like my friends literally, like, there was probably 3 or 4 of us that played every sport. Like I'd literally go from football to basketball to baseball, and then later on in my high school career I dropped baseball, and then I started doing track for football to get better for football. But it depended on like who I was hanging out with after school, kind of depend on what sport I was playing. So it's like, and there were some friends that only played basketball, so I was like, man, when football season rolled around, like I don't really talk to you during football season because I'm with all my football friends. And so I think that was interesting. I think that prevented a lot of burnout from me too, individually. Like, do you think that played a factor in you reaching the level you did with track, because you weren't just so hyper focused at a young age?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think for me, it was like, I was just having fun with it. It's like, I'm going to go to basketball practice, like you said. And then like after basketball practice, I go to like club volleyball practice. And then it's just like taking it season by season. It's like, realistically, all those sports go hand in hand, and they give you the skills and agility that they like play in each other's favor. So it's just like, yeah, I wasn't just training track from like January, like I do now, from January all the way through the summer. Like, it's like, okay, I'm going to go do this sport, and then I'm going to go do this sport, and then I'm going to go do this sport. And I feel like, yeah, that's just, I think I would have been burnt out if I was just doing track, if I was just doing volleyball. Like, it's just like, no, like doing everything is fun. Different coaches, different friends, like you're saying, and just a whole new environment.
Yeah, no, and I played all three sports throughout high school. So again, I did four technically. So I did
That's crazy.
football, basketball, baseball, and track. And then my junior senior year I dropped track, but that was kind of the reason, or I dropped baseball and started doing track specifically for football and kind of learned how to run.
Yeah.
And complete side note that has nothing to do with it. Credit to you for going to track because track is a thousand times worse. Practice is a
It's
thousand
not
times worse
easy.
than any other sport I've ever done. Track is tough, a tough sport. I remember getting to college and be like, man, you guys chose to do this. Like, you guys got a taste of it in high school, how hard track was, and you guys are doing it in college. I'm like,
Right.
you guys are built a little different. But that's a complete side note. But for me too, I kind of knew like my sophomore year was kind of when I was like, hey, like football is actually coming to me a little bit easier than all the other sports as far as like I'm excelling without having to match the same amount of effort. So I'm like, hey, there might actually be something here with football. And kind of in your journey, I'm like, when did you first realize I might have something special here?
I think for me, I think I realized it a little bit later. Like, I think my parents and like my coaches and the people around me were like, hey, this girl is pretty legit with track. Um, but for me, I'm like, my favorite sport all the way through like junior year of high school, I'm like, I love volleyball. Like, that's what I love to do. And so I think for me, it's like I went through like middle school at Clark and I went through Clovis High, obviously, and I was winning all my races or like in long jump and triple jump. Like especially like locally, I was undefeated. Um, and so I'm like, okay, I know I'm good, but like I really love volleyball too. And then when I got to high school, like freshman sophomore year, um, I was good in the valley, but then like state and stuff, like I was still like I was getting beat. And so I was like, okay, like I'm good, but like look, I go to state and it's like I'm trying my best to like go and do something, but like it started driving me nuts. I'm like, hey, how do I get better to like go to state and like I want to win state now. Like I'm winning valley, but like how do I win state? And then my junior year when I got there and like I performed well and I won the long jump and triple jump, that's kind of when it clicked where I'm like, okay, I'm way better at, not way better, but like I'm doing things in track and I can like have a future and get to schools that I really want to go to in track. Where volleyball, it's like, yeah, I'm good, but like I'm not separating myself maybe as much from the girls around me. And so I think it was just like, okay, like I did volleyball obviously all through high school and loved it. But my junior and senior year, I traveled a little bit less for volleyball and really focused when it came to track season. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do track and like lock in here. And I think that's when I was just really realizing like, I want to go to college and I want to get to the next level. And I know that track can take me there.
That's big. And I know it's funny. You kind of talk about your like love for volleyball and you almost kind of transitioned. You had a lot of your success, obviously, post high school and track. I know, like for me personally, basketball was always my first love. Like I loved basketball. And a lot of people don't know that too. And like a story I don't even know if I've ever told. I remember I was good in the valley playing basketball, but I mean, I'm 6'1". I mean, so I go to camps and stuff, and I got invited to an Adidas Top 150 camp. I remember in San Diego. This is eighth grade going into my freshman year, and I go, and my roommate's from Florida. He's telling me about himself. I'm telling about me, and blah 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 blah. And he's playing all these travel clubs and stuff, and I'm just thinking, man, like I'm just this kid from Dinuba, like I'm good on my team and I'm good in the valley, you know. And then we go out there, and honestly, it was such an awakening experience for me to where like we're in eighth grade going into high school. Like I'm grabbing the rim. I think I'm cool. Like I'm a good shooter. I could do, and there's kids that are doing windmill dunks and 360s. And I'm just looking like, what in the world am I stepping into? And I'll never forget like the coach is talking. He's like, yeah, if you're 6'1", 6'2", you're a dime a dozen. We could find 10 of you at Walmart right now. And I was like, man, like he's talking to me, like that's me. He's like, you got to be 6'4", 6'5" to be something really special. And I think just traveling and going outside of like your initial city and town and team is really important. And did you kind of have any experiences similar to that of like getting exposed to track? Like, wow, like I'm really, really good in my area, but not being content with where you're at.
Yeah, I think So my freshman year when I went to state, like, I was the first one out of finals in the 100, and then I got, like, I want to say I got, like, fourth in the long jump. And so I was like, oh, like, what seems so easy in, like, the valley, where I'm like, okay, these girls are fast, and these girls are doing way bigger things than what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to put in a little bit more work to get to where I want to be. And then my sophomore year, I was the first one out of the final in the 100 again, and I'm like, and it was like by a thousandth of a second. I'm like, dang, like, I was so close yet so far, and the same thing happened to me. And then I actually did worse in the long jump. I like fouled out in the long jump, didn't make the final in that. And then I think I got like 6 in the triple jump. So I left that year being like really disappointed. Like the state meets in California, it was at Buchanan for the first time, and I'm like, I went there and like the same exact thing like it happened to me. I actually did worse than my freshman year. So that was like, okay, like state meets at Buchanan. I'm going into my junior year. I'm going to lock in and, like, I'm going to figure this out because, like, I'm sick of being the first person out of the final. I'm never going to foul out a long jump again. I learned my lesson on that. And then I think it taught me very valuable lessons because it's like, I feel like your failures teach you the biggest lessons. And so for me, it's like, because I didn't succeed, it was just like, okay, I'm going to work a little bit harder. And now I'm going to be like, I'm not going to allow myself, like, I'm going to get a fair mark on my first long jump now every single time because that's what I need to do. And it taught me so much about what I need to be to get to the next level. So I feel like, yeah, going and being exposed to that stuff is great, where it's like you could take it and be like, oh my gosh, like the next level is scary. Or it could be just like, hey, I'm going to go out there and get my feet wet. If I fail, that's totally fine. Like, but as long as you get back up and try again and you figure stuff out and try to get a little bit better, I feel like that's where the real progress is made.
Yeah. And I think that's such a mindset thing too. It's like, and I wish I could like just adapt that mindset that you have, and I think that I have too as well, and just plug it into some of the young athletes. Because I remember hearing just all the stats and statistics when I got into high school, like, oh, your odds of actually making it to XYZ or blah 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 blah. And it's like when someone tell me that, you could see a lot of people like their shoulders would just drop and kind of be defeated. And I remember like people telling me that, I'm like, cool, like that means there's a chance, like it didn't make me feel any kind of way, and just like for you, I mean, obviously you go from Clovis and then to Oregon. You went to the wrong Oregon school, but we won't talk about
right
that.
School.
But what was that transition like for you? I mean, just both mentally and physically.
Yeah, well, you mentioned like telling people like the kids, coaches being like the stats of like how hard it is. It's like I wish that people would reframe it and be like, hey, if you're willing to like put in the work and work hard, no matter if you're 6'1", like playing basketball, or like you're not where you're at the level that you want to be for track, like it doesn't mean that you can't get there. And talent can only take you so far. Your height can only take you so far. When there's people that are working harder than you every single day, like eventually they're going to pass you. And I just want like kids to realize like, if this is what you really want to do, there's ways to get there, and it doesn't have to always even be like I'm going D1. Like you can go to junior college. There's so many routes that you can take, and so I it's always sad when it's like kids, like you're saying, they get defeated when they're like, oh, like I can't do it. It's just like no, like I wish coach would be like, if this is what you want to do, like let's get the work done and see how far we can get. So yeah, and then what was the other question you asked?
Yeah, no. Just what was the transition like for you? Because like little context. Like I remember getting to Oregon State and just meeting. We had a freshman transition program where it's like all the freshmen get there in the summer. It's our bridge program, and we had a counselor. And I remember he's talking to me, and he's on the football team too. And I go, oh, cool. Like this dude's like 6'1", probably like 225, and probably has like 2% body fat, and he's massive. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, how old, what grade are you in? He's like, oh, I'm a redshirt freshman. And I just started thinking like, I'm never gonna play college football. Like you're 1 year older than me. I was like, there's no way. So I think there's different times like that, but I think everyone runs into those situations. But was there like a moment at Oregon where you said like, hey, I actually belong here, like I'm an elite athlete as well, and I belong here?
Yeah, I know I had a similar, like, when I got to Oregon, obviously I had just come off of winning, like, 3 state titles in California, and I got there, and it was just, like, part of the reason I wanted to go there is I wanted to go to a program that was, like, bigger than me, and people were better than me. And I got there and it was just like everything that I thought I knew, it was just like, oh, I have to fix this. And what I was doing in high school was nowhere near what I needed to be doing in college. And my coach would even joke around and be like, you run like Fred Flintstone. Like, he's just like saying like everything that I do, I'm like, I'm spinning my legs too fast. And like, there's so much technical stuff that I needed to do to grow. And so I was staying at practice. I would be doing like extra stuff, trying to learn and soak it all in. And ultimately he's just like, hey, you're not even ready to like run on this team. So I redshirted my freshman year. And then I ended up breaking my foot because I was training so hard, trying to like figure everything out, that I'm like, I didn't know how to recover. I didn't know like the proper nutrition, all the stuff that goes into being like an elite athlete. I didn't know how to do all of that. And so ultimately like it ended up in me breaking my foot. And so my freshman year was not a great year for me, but it was a lot of learning experience to where I could like, I'm like, okay, well now I'm injured and now I need to sit back and watch like all my teammates and kind of see firsthand like what they do to get better and like what they do to succeed at the next level. And I feel like that, as frustrated as I was my freshman year and mad that I wasn't competing, that kind of just lit the fire even more to where I'm like, hey, I can do this. Like, I got to work a little bit harder and I got to do all the right things. And I feel like that helped me into my sophomore year or my redshirt freshman year. And then we had a new coach come in, Curtis, and he kind of took me under his wing. And he's like, hey, if you keep working hard, like you have something. And he always encouraged me. And I feel like by the time I got to my, it was my sophomore year technically, but by the time I got there, it's just like, okay, now I'm putting up times where I'm like, I can compete nationally in college. Now I'm like competitive. And I feel like that's just what kind of, every time I made a step in the right direction, it's like, okay, I want more and more and more, and was eager to learn how to get there.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important too, the transition. Like you said, I think just the exposure to being at that level, it's an awakening call a lot. Because I think most people get to that level. You have some kind of work ethic, you have a little bit of talent, and you kind of marry the two, and a little bit of luck in between, a little bit of everything that kind of gets you to that position. But I think once you get there, you start to realize, like you said, the nutrition, the therapy, the post-recovery is just the pre-therapy. And it's like there's so much stuff that goes into that's dedicated to becoming that level of an athlete. And I mean, you even took it beyond that. I mean, just kind of talking about the Olympics. I mean, something only a small fraction of athletes ever experience. I mean, like, what was the moment like when, I mean, you first stepped into the Olympic Village?
It was surreal. It's just like something that you kind of dream about. I've dreamt about for like my whole life, and to be able to like go, well, even just the moment of like qualifying for the team where like I qualified by like, it was like 100th of a second, and I was like, I was leaning so hard across the finish line that I rolled over the finish line. And so I was literally laying on the track looking at the scoreboard like, oh my gosh, like, did I make it? Did I not make it? So like the moment I saw my name, third place, because top 3 go to the Olympics, it was just kind of like oh my gosh, a relief of like, I did it. And it was at Hayward Field at Oregon. So it was just like I had my whole family there. I had like all the support of all the Oregon fans there. So that was the first like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. And then yeah, when I stepped into the Olympic Village, it was just like I'm doing opening ceremonies and I'm surrounded by all these people that I've like watched on TV, that I've seen do their thing, and I'm like, I'm really here with them as an athlete, like on Team USA. And I feel like at the time I was just like wide-eyed, like trying to take it all in, but it's really like now looking back at it, it was just like such a cool, fun experience.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, how do you mentally prepare for the biggest stage in the world?
I mean, that's the hardest part, right? Is like you do all the work and hope that, especially with track, it's like you have to have everything lined up at the right time. And when you're on the line, you can't hide. Like, you can't have your coaches help you. You can't have your teammates help you. Your family can't help you. Like, it's you against the 8 girls that are on the track with you. So that's definitely like the hardest part, is like mentally trying to like get everything locked in, mentally and physically. And so it's like a time where you have to really like lean into your coach, lean into your family or whoever your support system is. And like, it's a very individual sport, but if you can have the support system surrounding you to like bring you and pick you up when tension is high or when you go through like hard times or like you fail at something, like those are the people you lean on. So it's like if you can have that support system with you in those big moments, I feel like for me that makes all the difference.
Yeah, no, and I mean, just for you, I mean, again, such a just elite class of people that I wish I could look up the stat. I'm sure there's not a lot of people that could say they stood on an Olympic podium that are walking around the world. So that's a really small percentage of people. But I mean, what did standing on the podium, like, what did that mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. I feel like it's just like a surreal moment where it's like a lifelong dream of like what I've wanted to do for so long, and it actually like happened. Um, and that was a weird time because it was during COVID, so it was like what I had imagined of like, oh, I'm gonna maybe go medal in the Olympics, and I'll have my mom in the stands, and my brother and my sister and my family, like everyone is gonna be there with me. It was like they're across the world, and so like the stands were empty, and so in that sense, it was kind of different and weird feeling just because we're out there alone almost. But in the same sense, like having my family, like having FaceTime and all that stuff, they were right there with me, and also the city of Clovis rallied behind me so hard, and they were cheering for me every step of the way, and to the extent of like people like the media outlets were like, hey, like look at what your hometown is doing right now, and they would go live to them. So like having that support and being from a smaller town, and it's more I just feel like people are more invested and bought into like me as an athlete because it's more of a family feel when you're from Clovis rather than like a big city like LA or something. Like it's more meaningful because I feel like, I don't know, we care for each other a lot. And so to be able to have that support when I was on the podium and just feel the love when they couldn't even be there, it was everything.
Yeah, so take me back. I mean, 2020, you just went, you're just standing on the podium. You guys get it placed around your neck. I mean, like, who's the first person you thought of when you get the medal around your neck? Or what are some of your first thoughts when you, like, initially happens?
Um, it's just kind of like a sigh of relief, like, oh, like, wow, like, this is happening. Um, and it's just like, I think I just always was thinking about my family. Like, I didn't get to where I'm at alone. And it was just kind of like a tribute to like my parents and my brother and my sister. Everyone's been so supportive and have like sacrificed so much for me to get to where I am. So it's just kind of like wow, I did this for myself. But like in reality, it's like, it means so much more because it's like, I did it for like my family and even the city of Clovis. It's just like, okay, now I have something that I can bring home and be like, hey, we did it.
Yeah, no, and I think it's crazy to think, and you might agree with me, you might not, but I think it's when people reach levels of success. At least for me, I'll speak from my own experience. Like when winning the Mountain West Championship, winning a bowl game, the Vegas Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl, and kind of some of those accomplishments. It's like I've listened to different podcasts and people talk about. There's people who are high achievers. There's almost a sense of like a superiority complex where it's almost like I it's almost an expectation to win because I know how much effort and time and sweat and adversity and things I've missed to accomplish this. You're always grateful for it. It's a surreal experience, but there's a small part of you like, hey, this is almost an expectation because I know how much effort I put into this moment. And I mean, just behind every medal, I mean, are parts of the story that people will never see. And like in your story specifically, I mean, what's a moment of adversity the world didn't see but shaped you the most?
Gosh, I feel like it's just like you said, like all the highs are always highlighted of like the medal or like going to the Olympics, but like in reality, if you look back at like even just my professional career, there's so many more disappointments than there were of like I did it or like success and wins and stuff like that. Like there's been seasons where like I'll go to USA's and my foot's broken and like I can't compete, and it's just like, okay, now you miss out on the world championship team. I went to like what you're talking about, like getting on the podium and getting that silver medal on the relay. Like if you would have rewinded me back 2 days, like I was in tears crying because I was I had the potential to go and medal. I thought I was going to medal in the 200 or the 100, and I didn't. I fell short of my goal. And for me, I'm like, I failed. I didn't see like making the Olympics as like, oh, like I did it. I got here. Like that was the victory. I'm like, I was going in with every intention to go win a medal, and I didn't. And so for me, like the next, like 2 days before I'm going and running the relay with these girls, like I'm in tears because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I put all of that work in and I made all these sacrifices, and the moment that I wanted to be so good and I wanted to run well, like I didn't. Like I fell short and I didn't do it. And so it's just like at that point it's just like, okay, well, I can either get back up, bounce back, and go run this relay and try to bring home a medal with my team, or like I can sit and like wallow in my sadness of like, oh, I didn't do what I wanted to do. So I think it's like there's so many moments as athletes where it's just like you put in so much work and nothing is guaranteed. Like you could work hard all year and like something fluky could happen, like an injury can pop up, you could get sick and you don't like make it, you don't qualify, you don't win the championship, like whatever it is. But then it's like you never know, like it's always the what if, like of what if you do it. And so I feel like in the moment of like you see the high of the silver medal, you go back 2 days and it's just like I was not in a good place of I wasn't happy at all when I was over there.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, that's two like absolutely gut wrenching things that happen, and to be able to just flip the switch and be like, okay, now I need to flip back into athlete mode and kind of have this killer instinct about myself and get mentally prepared and physically prepared for this next opportunity that I have. I mean, like, how do you push through doubt when your confidence dips?
I think it's just sometimes you just like there's no like right or wrong answer. It's like sometimes you just have to get up and do it, whether you think you're going to succeed or not. Even if you're still doubting yourself, sometimes the best thing is just to get back up and try again. And slowly but surely this doubt will go away. Or sometimes it's just like, hey, like I didn't do it. Like it would have been so easy for me to like, I'm like, dang, I didn't run well here. Like, do I even just like, I'm making up stuff in my head at this point. Like as an athlete, like, dang, I'm on this relay. Like I want to run it, but like I have to perform well. And so like, thankfully that's when you rely on your support system of like, you have your coach, you have a sports psych, I have my family, and everyone's just like, hey, like you're right where you need to be. You're doing great. Like get out there and do what you know how to do. And that was the thing of like, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. And that's the thing is like, you put in the work. And so like at the end of the day, I always knew I could fall back and be like, I don't doubt myself that I put in the work. I don't doubt myself that I don't know how to do it. Like I know for a fact I'm ready to go. And so that's kind of the thing that would drive me of like, no matter what, like I know that I can do what I need to do, and I trust myself that I'm going to get the job done.
It's funny, you made me think of a quote that I just heard the other day. It's like some people move when they feel good and others move to feel good. So it's like, hey, no matter what you're feeling in the moment, like staying committed to the process that you've already committed to. And I think like this show and the premise of the podcast is just, it's kind of built around like the next generation, kind of your exact mission of what you're doing through your book and kind of giving back. And I mean, if you could give, I mean, like 3 lessons to young athletes listening, I mean, what would they be?
One, you never know, like you never know what can happen if you don't try. You know, the only way that you could fail is if you don't get back up and try again. And then, I mean, there's so many lessons that I've learned. Just, you can never, also like, if you put your hard work in and you do the work every day, like, it's a lot easier to leave the field or to leave the track knowing that you did everything you could to succeed than if you go back and you're like, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Like leaving all that doubt behind. And so no matter the result, it's just like, okay, I did everything I could and walk away like this is how I'm going to fix it in the future.
No, and whether general or specific, what's one thing Oregon Jenna wishes Clovis Jenna knew?
Um, that's a good question. Um, I think just to trust myself. I feel like going to Oregon, like I was a little timid and I was nervous. Like I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can like do what these girls are doing at the next level. And it's just like I wish that I would have known like, hey, it takes time. It's a process, and nobody's track is the same. Some people go to college and it's like you're gonna succeed immediately, and some people it's like it might take a couple years to develop and like figure it out. So I wish I would have known just to stay patient and just trust the process and enjoy my time, and like don't worry so much about the future as it is like just be present with yourself now and figure out what you're doing now and be the best I can be like in that moment. And if you do that, like it's gonna take care of the rest in the future.
Yeah, no, that's extremely. And the reason I kind of asked you, I know like I have kids now, and I feel like something that my parents instilled in me was always to kind of be humble and kind of just put your head down and work. And I'm 100% going to instill those values in my kids now. And I think I say that to say there's something that I wish I started to develop. I'd say when I got to Fresno, not even at Oregon State, when I got to Fresno, it's I almost had like an alter ego when I stepped on the field, and I
Yeah.
wish I would have dove into that a little bit sooner in my career. As far as like, hey, you are a dog. Hey, you are like this is your territory. It's time to go now. It's like there's a time and place in interviews and podcasts and
Right.
TV to like, hey, be humble, give thanks to God, and give thanks to your teammates and everyone supporting you. But like when you step on the field, I wish I would have leaned into that earlier on in my career. Like, hey, it's go time. Like you said, once you get on the line, like nobody could save you anymore. It's
Yeah.
Jenna versus Jenna and Jenna versus the 8 other girls that are on the track with her. So kind of talk about like how was that like your mentality when it's like, hey, we're on the line, like it's go time now.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a when you get to a meet or when it's go time. Like you were talking about the expectation of like what it was of like when I went to Oregon. The expectation is like we want this team to win. We want to win nationals, and we need you to score points at whether it's conference or nationals. And so, that was kind of instilled in us, like, as soon as we stepped on campus, like, hey, this is the level that we need you to be at. And so for me, it's like when I stepped on that line, it was just like, hey, like, I got to get the job done. It's like you're saying, an alter ego of like, I don't care what's going on around me. I'm locked in to like do what I need to do. And then for me, I had other events. So I was like, get the job done here, like go to the long jump pit, get the job done there, go on the 200, get the job done there, because I need to do my part in scoring points for the team, to do the ultimate job of like winning the national championship.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And obviously, I mean, you've dropped, I mean, just tons of knowledge and kind of expectations and what athletes could do to kind of better themselves. And I think it's always easier to learn, like, you could pick at people's success and you could learn from other people's stories all the time. But I feel like for me, the most exponential kind of leaps I've had in my own development was learning from other people's mistakes. And like for you personally, I mean, you could be as vulnerable as you want to be, but I mean, like, what's one mistake that you made that you hope the next generation of kids will avoid?
Um, I think, for me personally, like as a professional, like it's kind of just listening to my body more, of where like I felt like I'm always feeling like I have to prove myself, and I always have to like push through things and prove myself. And it was kind of like I stopped. There's points in my career where it's like I didn't trust myself. Like, oh, like I feel what's happening in my foot. I have like this ache and pain, and it's like if I speak up and say my foot hurts, then I'm showing weakness, and like, oh, like, maybe my coach isn't gonna believe me or something of that nature. And so like instead of vocalizing what I feel, I'd internalize it, and then ultimately I would end up like there was 5 years in a row where like I was either had a stress fracture in my foot or I was recovering from it and just trying my hardest to get back to get ready for like the championships. And it was just like I wish that I would have trusted myself more and been more vocal of like, hey, like it's okay to like, if you need to take time and like get yourself right, like that's okay. Because if you miss, a week, 2 weeks, a month of training just to get healed and get your body back, as opposed to like a whole season, like that's way more valuable. And it's like, you have to put your health first. And that's a hard thing to like balance of like, is this an ache and a pain that's going to go away in a couple of days? Or is this something where it's like, hey, I need to focus on it and like nip it in the butt. And I feel like my first years, it was just like, I was trying so hard to like fight and prove myself that I'd be like, no, I can tough it out. And it's just like, well, I got to USA's and it's like, well, now you're sitting on the sidelines upset because like you can't even step on the track or put weight on your foot because you didn't do anything about it. And so I feel like ultimately like it would always bite me in the butt. And so I just wish that I would have spoke up and I would have like learned how to manage and navigate all of that stuff, because obviously with track and field, it's a very individual sport and you have to figure all that stuff out by yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a fine line. I mean, as a competitor, you're kind of taught your whole life to like push through stuff, fight through stuff. And I know in football specifically, I mean, if you have like an old school coach, it's very much of they preach, hey, are you injured or are you hurt? Like there's a difference. Like everyone's hurting, everyone's going through stuff. So it's like there is a fine line. But I think at the end of the day, like you know your body best. Like, hey, this actually doesn't feel right. Like I need to take time for me. And I know my senior year, going into my senior year in the summer, I popped my hamstring. I was doing split squats, went down, came up, and it popped, fell. And I remember begging the coach, like, hey, I'm fine, I could practice. And I remember him kind of telling me, like, hey, you're not going to win us any football games in June and July. Like, with you coming back, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we need you to play in August and September and when we're actually playing games. So I think as tough as it is as a competitor, I mean, for you, what did you kind of learn when your foot was broken and you had to sit on the sideline? You had to learn. What did you kind of learn about yourself as a competitor, as an athlete?
I think it's just like, one, it's like that we are resilient and like it's going to heal eventually. It's going to take time, but like the biggest thing is you have to be patient. You can't force anything. Like I can't just be like magically like, hey, heal, like you're healed overnight. And I feel like as elite athletes, like you're saying, like we're begging around like, no, I can do it. Like I'm a superhuman. Like I can do this. And it's just like, you're worthless. Like if you're running a lot slower than what you should be, like it's at the end of the day, it's not going to end well. And so like your coach was great for telling you that, because it's just like, hey, like you put it in perspective, like now isn't the important time, the future is. And so like one, just to be patient is something that I learned. And two is like, there's so much that you can do when you are hurt to like stay ready. Because I feel like a lot of times athletes get injured and they're like, oh, like poor me. And they don't do anything. Like they don't want to stay on their rehab. And then again, there's like so many other things that suck. Like I don't like to ride the bike. I don't like to run underwater or like run on the Alta G. Like they're not fun, but they do get you in shape and they do like help you. And like, so that when you are back on the track running, like you didn't miss that much time. And cross training is super valuable, but I think it's just like, keep it in perspective. Like, hey, I'm not out there with them, but I'm going to do everything I can to be ready when I am cleared to go back out there.
Yeah, I feel like getting injured and just kind of being almost taken away from you momentarily. It's such a mental kind of mind game too. I feel like it's playing with you. It's like, man, this could either go really bad and I could get in the pits, which I've seen teammates do that, where it's like, man, they just, ever since they got injured, they never fully recovered. So I think just understanding that, like, hey, I need to be mentally tuned and locked in and do whatever you need to do, speaking with people. And I think just to kind of like wrap up and kind of finish, I wanted to ask a couple just random kind of rapid fire kind of questions to finish. But the first one I want to ask, what's your favorite pre-race meal?
I'll say what it was in high school, because now it's like if I'm traveling around, I can't really choose. I used to have my dad get me a Subway sandwich, and it would be a ham sandwich from Subway.
I love to hear that, because my wife is not a fan of Subway, and I'm like, dude, Subway's fire.
I don't eat it anymore, but like when I was in high school, I was convinced that if I did not eat that, I was not going to do well. I was so superstitious. So that was definitely in high school what I would eat.
Have you feel like you've carried any superstitions on into your pro career?
I'm very like, I like to keep everything the same. So if I like get out of my routine, I'm like, dang, like I didn't do that today. But no, like when I was in high school, everything was like I had to eat the same breakfast, lunch, dinner. I would wear the same socks. Like everything was the same. Now as a pro, like if I'm running in Switzerland, I can't be like, hey, can you make me this sandwich or something? Like no, I kind of have to just like eat what they give. But
Yeah.
in high school, I was so superstitious.
Yeah, no, I feel like that. There's so many people that I've talked to. It's funny. I don't that just the details. It's almost like an obsessive personality with like, hey, this is how things are done. This is what I'm gonna do. Kind of follow, follow, and follow. But okay, another random question. What song are you listening to pre-race, or what's a song that kind of gets you locked in?
Ooh, this is a controversial one because I don't listen to music when I warm up. Actually, yeah, like when I went to Oregon, our coach wouldn't let us wear headphones to warm up because he didn't want us to like get run over by people or like hit by a javelin or whatever. And then as I went to be a professional, like I'll listen to stuff like on the way there, obviously. But when I'm warming up, I kind of like just like to lock in and I don't listen to anything. But I do like to listen to like R&B music.
Yeah. No,
Just
that's
something chill.
interesting. And I feel like we could go down a whole rabbit hole with this that we won't, but it's like I've not intentionally warmed up without it. I say I forgot my headphones. I
Yeah.
feel like I was a lot more locked in and focused and in tune with things when I wasn't just distracted with music. I don't know if that plays any
Yeah.
part in why you don't.
Yeah, I think like also my coach would be like, I don't want you to, if I'm listening to like, I don't know, some music where it's like pumping me up a lot and I get like really high where I'm like way up here, like 45 minutes before I run, then I take it off and then it's just like my body goes back to being like, ugh. And then I'm on the line like dead instead of just being like locked in, like you said, the whole time of like with my own thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And for you, I mean, what's the hardest? Obviously, you've had success in multiple events in track and field, but what's the hardest event in track and field?
Um, I'm gonna say the mile because it's just like I feel like they're sprinting the whole time, and I don't know, like doing or I think they run the 1500, but like the amount of speed that they have every single lap, it's like mind boggling to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And mine was always the 400, I would say,
Yeah,
just because I ran the one and the two, and then I ran the four in high school. And I'm like, you guys aren't you guys are sprinting a lot. Like,
yeah,
there's
no,
no
no,
like get out and coast. It's like, no, you guys are out like you're running 100. Like, what is going on here? I was
no.
like,
I
this
agree.
isn't my event.
The
Yeah,
400 is bad. The 800, like anything over 200, I'll say like that's hard.
yeah,
So
yeah, for
I don't know,
sure.
all of that stuff is crazy.
Yeah. And then the last two, I mean, what's one of your favorite places that you've competed?
Um, I really like London and Switzerland. Those are my two.
What about London and Switzerland did you like? Just the
Um,
environment, you guys get to go out a little bit, kind of food tasting or anything like that?
I think London is just like their love for track and field. It was just like it's just like a stadium. They do it in like a huge well, the Olympic stadium, and they pack it like it's literally sold out. So it feels like you're going to like an NFL game with a sold out crowd, but it's for track and field. So I feel like in Europe they appreciate the sport so much more. So it's just going over there. It's kind of just like, oh wow, like this is a whole new world of we're in America. And it's just like oh, like nobody really pays
Yeah.
attention to track.
Right, right. Yeah, no. And last one, I mean, what's one thing like people would be shocked if they learned about you?
Shocked. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty predictable. I don't know.
What's a random thing you're doing on a Saturday night, just hanging out? Were you watching TV shows? You playing video games? You
Oh, I mean, I watch TV. I like to cook. I don't know if that's shocking. People who know me, they know that I like to cook for them, but maybe for like the
what are
general
we
public.
cooking? That's news to me. You cooking
Yeah.
food like meals or bacon, like
No, I'm not a baker.
cakes?
I'm
And
not. I
okay,
can't say that I'm like a baker. I could.
okay,
I could follow a recipe, but I grew up like watching my mom and grandma cook, so I feel like I can cook a lot of stuff, almost anything. And if I
yeah,
don't know how to cook it, like a recipe will do a lot of justice for me. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's kind of
Well,
like a
that
fun.
That's
hobby of
telling
mine.
because I'm not a cook at all. I
No.
like you can put a recipe in front of me and I'm like, man, I hope I could follow this along. It's like I'm
Yeah.
very detailed. It's like, but it's just sometimes you got to have your own little flavor to it. So people
Yeah,
that
you
are
gotta like
cook,
spice it up on your own. Like you might see
exactly.
it and be like, I don't even like that. Like let me.
Yeah, I'll ask my mom like, "Oh, well, how much did you put in it?" She's like, "Oh, I just eyeballed it." I'm like, "Well, I don't really have that like eyeball, like just eyeball
Yeah.
it, like so you
What
got
do
to
you
tell me."
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean? Exactly. Yeah, but no, I definitely appreciate it. And before we wrap up, I want to ask you just one last question. Like in football, I mean, we always say like every game comes down to like 3 or 4 plays that kind of swing the whole outcome. I mean, like in a track, I mean, the margins, I mean, are honestly even more brutal than football. I mean, at the Olympics, the difference between, I don't know if you'll recognize these times, but gold, silver, and bronze, you got 41:02, 41:45, and then 41:88. Less than a half a second. I mean, margins are like so small, people can't even comprehend them, honestly, if you're not in track all the time. Just like the final question I wanted to ask you is just how do you stay consistent? I mean, mentally, emotionally, physically, when everything comes down to fractions of a second? And like, how do you live in a world where the smallest margins decide everything?
I feel like it's like for me, I've just made it kind of like a lifestyle, like to where now I know what I need to do, and it just becomes a habit of like I know I need to get sleep. Nutrition is huge. Recovery is huge. And like you're saying, like at a certain point when you're a professional athlete, everyone is really, really good and everyone is really fast. And so it's like, what can you do outside of practice that's going to set you apart and maybe make the difference of like a tenth of a second, a thousandth of a second, like all of that stuff, like it's real. Like I've missed out on finals from a thousandth of a second where it's just like nothing. But yeah, it's just like you have to lock in on all the little things that don't seem as significant, but you're only practicing for, I don't know, it depends on the day, but like 4 hours max a day. And it's just like, what are you doing outside of practice that's going to help you get ready for tomorrow, help you recover, and help you get the fuel you need to like go back out and perform at a high level?
Yeah, no, that's huge. And Jenna, I mean, definitely, I mean, thank you for, I mean, just your time, your heart, I mean, kind of your wisdom, and thank you for, I mean, definitely just pouring back in the community, I mean, that we both were raised in. So everyone listening, I mean, go follow Jenna, support her book, share this episode with a young athlete who needs inspiration today. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to Athlete Country Club. Until next time, go out and learn something from someone else's journey.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jenna.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.